Okay.
Okay. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm hella ready.
Okay. In today's episode, we are going to talk about how do we manage our money and how we think it might work for people too. Of course, to each their own, but um, who knows? This might help them. So, do you want to tell them how do we manage our money and how did we come up with that idea?
Okay. So we manage our finances jointly. Even before we got married, we discussed all this. I think it's really, really important to at least some point discuss this in a relationship. We know people who've been together like 1 to 5,
Years.
even like 10 years, right?
They don't know anything about each other's money
Yeah, they don't
and
know about
financial
each other's
situation.
finances. They don't know about like kind of the revenue stream, and they haven't even discussed like what happens if they get married, right? Like
Right.
people think of the concept of let's get married, but they don't think about like the operations, the logistics of it, right? Once you get married, like what are you gonna do with your finances? Obviously, you're gonna like commingle your stuff, right? Otherwise, there's no point in getting married.
Commingle. That's
Yeah,
very important.
yeah,
Commingle. I
it's
will
very
put
important.
commingling.
Commingle, right? We put all our funds together
Yes.
and you work towards a goal, and like it because it's such a crucial part of your relationship.
Yep.
You have to talk about it. So we talked about beforehand. We
Yep.
talked about what we were gonna do, what our goals were, what we are gonna after we put our money together, how
Yep.
we're gonna allocate for different like necessities, right? Like
Yes.
household. This is what our monthly expenses. We're gonna use this for like groceries. Like we're gonna set aside this for like fun expenses. So it's really
So
important to plan
before we
out.
set up that kind of expectations and what will be the rules for our finance, we also I think it's very important to highlight that it's important to be very transparent,
Yes.
right? So we analyze and become an accountant for
Yeah.
each other. So we check each other's like spending,
Yeah.
and then like we want to know how much we earn, and then how do we usually allocate budgeting for each of us, right? And then like we criticize. I think this should not be like that. I think this should be like this, and then we discuss, and then
Yeah.
now we set and we kind of know each other's expectations, and we set our rules.
Yeah, I think it's really important that this is not an uncomfortable conversation.
Yes.
You cannot go into this conversation thinking
Very
it's gonna be
important.
like awkward, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like how are you gonna spend the rest of your life together, right?
Yes.
It should be a very
Safe
just
to talk about things like this.
yeah. I
Yes.
know a person who it's the crazy situation, right?
Okay.
They got married,
Yeah.
and then that person received received an inheritance,
Okay.
but the wife never found out about it. It was like a big inheritance, like it was like
Yeah.
over $1 million, right? The wife did not even know that the husband was unemployed.
That's
So he was
silly.
just taking money out of that fund to
Yeah.
pay himself, right, as a salary, right? And he just lied to the wife for like years about being employed when he was just taking money out of there. Like
that's bad.
that's crazy, and that only was possible because the wife was like, didn't care
Yeah.
about.
So you
didn't
have
look
to
at-
care about your partner's
Yeah,
money.
both
Yeah.
partners have
It's
to.
not about being nosy.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
just like when you get married, it becomes our money. You know,
Yeah.
like your money, his money. Of course, you can do your own spending,
Yeah.
whatever works for you. But whatever you earn during the marriage, law 101,
Yeah.
it becomes your money
Community
together,
property.
community property. So like it's very important to know, and like I think it is very easy to fight if you don't agree
Yeah.
with things like this from the beginning.
Yes.
Because you feel like, oh, she might hide something, he might
Yeah.
hide something, and it's just so tiring.
Well, that's why it's important to bring it out immediately, right?
Yep.
Because like if you don't discuss it at the very beginning, then it gets harder and harder and harder in the
Yep.
future to talk about it.
Yep.
So like my advice is before you get married, like you have to discuss everything.
Discuss everything.
And money is probably one of the most important things you can discuss.
Money is
right?
the most
So,
important, one of
yeah.
the most important
Yeah.
things.
So
you can
we've
discuss.
discussed about our goals, right?
Right.
How like what our timeline,
Goals,
like
timelines.
yeah, goals, timeline, spending,
Spending,
budgeting,
budgeting.
everything.
Exactly. And I think first thing first, then establish a joint account.
Yep.
Okay, way before that, we talk about how we discuss about our existing and spending about for our own account,
Yep.
and then we establish our joint account if that's what we agree on to establish our joint account, and then pool all of our earnings into that one joint account, and then we don't really restrict each other to spend, right?
Yeah.
As long as it's reasonable and we talk about it,
Yeah.
we can see it anyway. It's better
Yeah.
to not like surprise your partner with like a spending like $10,000 from a
Yeah.
specific store, but you can talk to your partner. Why do you think it's important for you to buy this, and like why do you think you want that? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be something necessary. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
just fun money,
That's right,
right? Like
sure.
yeah, so we set uh, a benchmark. How do you call it? Like
We
a
set a threshold.
threshold.
So
Yes.
when we want to spend above a certain amount, for us it's like $500. Right?
$500.
If we want to spend more than $500 on something like silly
Yeah.
or like personal, right?
Silly
Like
or personal. Yeah.
like
I
if
don't
I-
think it's silly.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
just a
not
word,
silly,
like-
yeah.
if I wanted to buy like $1,000 sports card or Pokemon card,
Yes.
right? I'm definitely gonna notify her. If she wants to buy like $1,000 bag, right? She'll let me know.
Yeah.
If I like, even if it's like something that's community for our like personal
Yeah.
investment growth asset, right? Like I'll because I do the investment for
Yes.
us. Like
Yes.
I'll tell her, hey, look, there's an asset, there's a stock, there's something that I believe is a good purchase, right? These are the fundamentals.
Yep.
This is the time frame I expect. This is like the price target that I have for it, right?
Yes.
I'll let her know, and then she'll like, yeah, sure, and then we'll do it.
Yes.
But like, even if I know that she's going to trust me and agree with like my investment choices, right?
You
like,
still get her involved.
Yeah, I'm still getting her involved, and I'm still letting
Yeah.
her know, right? Because it's important when you're building a relationship, a future together, to like let each other know about stuff, even if we don't know it. Like even if we don't know anything about it, right? It still fosters a kind of like a I don't know, lack of a better word, the culture, but
Yeah.
yeah, a culture of openness
Yes,
and
that's true.
and like trust.
Yeah,
right?
and like you just as a person, I think it's very important for you to know what do you want to spend money on
Yeah.
and why do you think it's important for
Yeah.
you, why do you think it's beneficial.
Yeah.
So it trains our logic to be able to explain and not to be offended when people question us, right?
Yeah.
Like if I, for example, I ask you, hey Gilbert, why do you think do you want to purchase this stock? You have to have a reasoning.
Yeah.
And if you cannot even explain your reasoning, it means that you are not a mature adult.
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
that's why you cannot also be offended if like I question or like we
Mm-hmm.
both question each other. Why do you think it's important? It's not that we want to be nosy or we want to be restrictive,
Yeah.
but we just want to challenge each other to be
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
able to explain better why this is beneficial.
It's important that we've never said to each other just because, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we
yeah,
never
like,
asked like, oh, why do you want
well,
this? And it's like just because, right?
yeah,
We
yeah.
always have to be able to justify it.
Yeah.
Like even if it's like, oh, I want this bag because I've never had something like this before, right?
reason.
That's a valid reason, right? But you have to be able to
Voice out your
enunciate,
reason.
voice it out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah. You
that's very
cannot just like,
important.
well, I just want it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, it might seem cute,
But it's very
but
childish.
It's
very
childish,
right?
exactly. And you cannot, because if you allow me to just say like, well, I want that bag because I think, well, I just want it because my friend have it or like my friends have it. Maybe you can challenge me with, well, it might not work for you because just because your friends have this style, it doesn't mean that you have that style.
Exactly.
Right? Like, and through that conversation, we can rational more of our spending without feeling offended that you
Yeah.
want to restrict me from
Yep,
buying something.
exactly.
And I don't think we have ever taken it personal
Yeah.
to whatever we think. Hey, if you think this is not okay, then how about this? So like
Yeah.
it keeps us in a very healthy discussion.
Yeah, and we sometimes even suggest like, alternatives that might work even better, right? Be like, okay, you want this color, you want this bag, and I was like, that's perfectly fine. Have you considered either this brand,
Okay.
this brand,
Or buying it somewhere else.
buy it
in
somewhere
Japan,
else,
for
right? Or
example.
like buy this color instead because it'll match more. With your, like, you have to have a reason, and it's very openness, and it all starts from like the openness and communication
Yeah.
that stems from like being able to talk about your finances and like,
Yes.
your purchases.
Yeah, we've been talking about bags.
Yeah.
How about hobbies that
Hobbies.
you don't understand? We don't understand. I don't
Sure.
understand about your hobbies, but how to become more supportive to spending, which feels like it's just his hobbies or
Yeah.
just her hobbies.
Yeah.
What is your advice?
It definitely like take an interest in each other's like personal
Very
life. Like
important.
we don't have to understand it
Yeah.
all, right? Because like you're obviously not gonna understand like like trading card games. I'm not gonna understand like
Pokemon collection for 30 years ago, from 30
yeah,
years ago. It's
right?
impossible for me to understand.
Yeah, there's too much like context,
Yeah.
volume, and stuff. But we still very very supportive of each other, and like we still have reasoning for it. Because like for example, I'll be like, I want this one because I guess like a pretty obvious example without getting into specifics.
yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
like, okay, I wanted this card because at this current price, the standard market price for this is about like um, let's say like $1,000, right?
Right.
And then currently this is available for purchase for $800,
So it's
right?
a good deal.
Yeah, it's a good deal, and I see, and based on the rate of change for this card, right? I expect it to be worth like I don't know $2,000 in like a year, maybe in
Yeah.
like 2 years, right? This is a time frame.
Yeah.
Because of this, I want to purchase this now. Before it goes up any further, and then she'll be like, "Okay, I understand this," and then I'll be like, "Okay, this is like
Yeah.
2 months worth of like fun money spending, right?"
Yeah.
And then in that case, I've set a budget. I've discussed about it, told her about the timeline, and told her about like what the growth of it, and then I let her know, and then we purchase it. Right?
I think the most important thing is you should not approach your partner's hobby as like something against you.
Yeah.
And do not take that personally as if he spends his money on his hobbies, it doesn't mean that he will abandon you. Because
Yeah.
sometimes people like, oh, you keep on like buying this, you don't even buy me this. Like
Yeah.
then that could be a problem. So maybe talk about it how and try to see that as if, well, he can spend money on his hobbies, but that doesn't mean that he cannot spend money on me, or
Yeah.
like I cannot spend our money on myself.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's very fair
Yeah.
to say that because like I'm bad at getting gifts because like people want what they want, right? How do I know? Like if I buy you this, you might not like it. People are like very particular, right? Like let's say you go out and just randomly buy me like Pokemon cards or like
Yeah.
something, right? It's like this might not be the set that I want. I might not like this Pokemon, right? Blah blah blah.
So we request gift.
Yeah,
Or-
we request gift,
or we just buy it.
Yeah, or we just like
Yeah.
encourage each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you like this, right?
Just buy
go
it.
go ahead and buy it. As
Yeah.
long as we let each other know when we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
Or like, if we're buying things too often, then we'll
Hmm.
let each other know. Hey, this is our budget. We're gradually going over it,
Yeah.
right? And then we'll put that down a little,
Yeah.
like for the next month to adjust
Yes,
for it or
yeah.
something, right?
So basically, we have our joint account, our joint investment account,
Yeah.
and joint credit card account.
Yes.
So everything comes from the same pool of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
I think that's important to establish
Yeah,
first.
because that way we know what we're all spending together,
Yeah.
what we're all doing, what our community assets
Yes.
are, and then it helps us like give each other both a good sense of this is what we can do available. If we go over this, this is gonna start impeding on our like growth targets and
Mm. Yeah,
whatnot. So
yeah,
then we
yeah,
need to dial
yeah,
it back
yeah,
and around.
yeah.
So we align our goals together as well. So
Yeah.
that way we know exactly
Yeah.
what we want to purchase.
So because we have this one goal, which we agree, we can be more open when the other side criticize us. Hey, I think you have spent much more on the fund spending this month, and I think it's not aligned with our goal. Well,
Yeah.
of course we don't talk that formal, but like kind of that way
Yeah.
to like, hey, snap,
Yeah.
and oops,
Yeah.
we can reassess
Yeah.
again, like
Yeah.
how we want to do our fund spending. Or if we want to do more fund spending, then we will do more of fun side hustling,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's also important. If you feel like you're gonna spend more than your partner, or like so that it will avoid you from like competing of spending more than each
Yeah,
other, because it
yeah.
can be very bad if you feel like you have a budget to spend, and like you feel like you haven't spent your budget. You
Yeah.
will feel like, okay, I will spend more than, so that
Yeah.
I will outcompete my partner.
Yeah.
But it's not healthy,
No,
because
that's-
it's better for you to like, okay, if I don't need to spend this month, it means that I'm pushing through the goal,
Yeah.
pushing closer to the goal,
Yeah.
right?
There's months where like I don't even spend like
I don't
100.
think so. No, never.
There's months where I only spent like $100 on like fun stuff, right?
There are some
Ex-
months I didn't spend
Exactly,
anything at
and
all.
it's like we don't feel a need to like. Basically, we don't treat our budget like a government grant, right? Because like if a government
we
grants,
have to spend it.
yeah, because if a government like grant or like a science like research funding, right,
Yeah.
gives you $1 million, you have to spend that money or else you're not going to get a second grant,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
you encourage to blow it up. But our goal is we want to build our assets, right? We want to
Grow.
build like growth, right? So if we don't spend it, it's perfectly fine because it just means we grow our money even more, right?
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like a safety, you know, like we can do this, but we don't have to. But because our goals aligned, like we never really feel an urge,
Okay.
like we have to spend it,
Yeah,
right? So
and
that's
I
a very
think
healthy.
that's very good. And also the reason why we said like $500, it means that any other spending before reaching that threshold, we can just do it, you know.
Yeah.
So it will become faster. For example, I feel like, oh, we need this item for our kitchen.
Yeah.
We just spend it, and I like explain,
Yeah.
hey, I just buy this by the way, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. I decided to buy this, blah blah blah. That's okay, you know, so that it will not be super tedious. What is it called?
Tedious.
Like you
Going back and
going
forth.
back and
Very
forth. Like,
bureaucratic.
yeah, it's very bureaucratic. It's just us too, right? Like
Yeah.
we want to spend something on like a random
Yeah.
well, that's fine, right?
We share an Amazon account as well, so like we know exactly when we're buying something like silly, right? Like you want to spend like $15 or $10 on like ice cube tray, whatever.
Sure. Cute ice cream.
Yeah,
tray.
exactly. I'm not gonna.
The rose ice.
Yeah, we're
cream
not gonna
tray.
like go ask each other about
Yeah,
that. Right?
yeah,
It's-
and we don't laugh at each other's spending. Like,
Yeah.
if you think it's important to have a random Nissan bottle.
Sure.
Bottle
Yeah.
because we don't want, we
Yeah.
are not sponsored.
Yeah.
We feel like you feel like it's cool. Okay, sure. And then I will probably suggest you like we have too
We have like
many-
20 tumblers, and then I'll be like, "That's fair,"
That's fair.
and I'll return
That's
it.
fair, exactly. But we don't get like ha ha ha. That's ridiculous. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's not like mocking it, making it ridiculous for the partner to spend
Yeah.
money. I think
So
it's
that
very
goes back to our
important.
beginning, right?
Yeah.
Justify it, and
Yeah.
then be able to.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. Wow.
Any other relationship advice on finances? This we covered spending. We covered
We talk
hobbies.
about
we
investing
invested.
now.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't understand about the U.S. stock market, and I'm not very familiar with stocks in general. But I know like investing is important.
Yes.
So I talked with him, and like he has a background in finance. So I was like, okay, sure. How about you do that?
Okay, sure, I can know a
yeah,
little bit.
exactly. So it also push you to explore more of the skills that you always have, right? Like, and sometimes it just if you say like, well, I cannot do this because this is not my expertise. Can you help with this? And you said, okay, sure, and
Sure.
it works, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a couple of levels to it. So, like, at the very, very simplest, you want to always grow your money, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's always better to have free money than no free money. Of
Passive
course.
income,
Yeah, passive
yeah.
income. And if you think like, you know, the amount that you have is too little to get involved, like it compounds up, right? Like let's
Yeah.
say you have $100, you get 4% a year, that's like $4, right? And then 4%, that means like in 18 years, you'll double your money.
Yep.
However, let's pull it up. Let's like change the scale of it, right? $1,000, you get $40. $10,000, you get $400. $100,000,
Still grows.
right? So it gets bigger and bigger and more significant as you put into it. And part of the reason why it's so easy for us to like not compete against each other in like spending, or like we're completely okay not spending our budget, is because we understand the more like we don't spend, the more we'll get back in the future, like as we grow.
To our
So
investment.
that's very important. And then there's a couple of ways to it. Like you can start with like savings account from your bank. Obviously that's not super high. That's like, you know, like maybe 2 to
But
4%.
some bank accounts provide quite an easy way, right? Like 3%.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, if you don't know anything
Yeah,
about it,
yeah, it's still better.
that's a way to do it, right?
Yep,
In
yep,
the
yep.
US, you're FDI insured, so like you can have up to like some, I don't remember the specific. It's like 100-something thousand or $250,000.
It's fine.
Some amount that if your bank closes, you're guaranteed to have that money back, right? So that's perfectly fine. Another thing is like, and then moving a little bit higher up in like the amount of knowledge you need is target date funds, which is like I'm gonna invest this much money and I want a certain percentage by this year. Those are extremely stable. Obviously, the return you get on that is a little bit lower, but if you don't know anything about the stock market, right?
better.
Like that's perfectly fine because you're still making money
Yeah.
off not doing anything,
Yep,
right? Which
yep.
is always the very like ideal, right?
Yep.
And then a little bit higher than that is like index funds or like ETFs on specific things. So these would be either like something that's pinged to the overall market, like the S&P 500.
Yep.
If the market goes up, then that goes up. Those are over the long term, it's like 7 to 10% annualized return. Obviously, some years like 2008, everything drops. But for the most part, over like the past 50, 60 years, it's always going up on average. So if you want to take a little bit more of a risk,
Yeah.
you can do that. Put a little bit more. Obviously, the return is a little bit higher, right? And then after that, you can start doing like
Stock picks.
yeah, individual stock picks.
Tips on stock picks.
Uh,
3 tips. 1.
Okay. Let me think about that.
I think it
One, I'm not a financial advisor. So
Exactly.
that's very important.
Waiver.
The
Okay.
waiver. So I don't give specific stock picks because that's like, obviously things can
This
go
is
up
just
down.
tips on how you find your stocks.
Yeah, read the news.
Good.
Definitely read the news. That's extremely important because the market changes all the time. The market reacts to news very, very rapidly.
yep.
So if you don't know what's going on, then your money might lag behind. You might need to swap over, or there's an opportunity that you might not be able to take.
Yeah.
2, do not invest more than what you can afford to lose. It's like the gambling idea, except that when you gamble on stocks, at least you have something left over. But like, do not invest if you like. If let's say example, some people want to get into options trading, right? Which is by far the riskiest one. That requires by far the most knowledge, and I do not recommend that for 99% of the
Okay.
people. Like either you're institutional player where you're like investing large amounts, like millions of dollars into something, and you buy options to balance it out in case like it goes south and what you buy wasn't a good play. But yeah, I didn't mention that, but do not mess with options for most people.
Do not put your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, and that would be the third. Oh, that was gonna be the third point. But I'll re-summarize it.
Okay.
Oh, see, she's already learned so much about
Yeah.
it. But yeah, read the news. If you need this money to pay rent or to buy food next month, do not invest that. Set aside like some sort of budget, right? Either a couple $100, a couple $100, maybe $1,000, whatever,
Yeah.
depending on what your income is, right?
Yep.
Set aside some money every single month consistently to put into your strategy of choice,
Yep.
and you'll see the gains on it like over time, and
Yep.
it rapidly grows. Like once you hit $100,000,
Yep.
like your 4% is just gonna keep skyrocketing
Yep.
quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yep.
And so like you'll want to so the sooner you hit a big amount, the sooner you are on your way to financial freedom.
Yep.
A good way to think about it is like once you hit once you hit 100,000, or once you hit $1 million in some sort of investment saving, like let's say over a decade, 2 decades, or whatever, then you're well on your way to financial freedom, because at that point, even like bank accounts with like CD savings accounts or something of 4%, or
Yeah.
even getting into dividends that pay like maybe like 6-7%, that means every single year you'll make $60,000-$70,000
Yeah.
without doing a single thing, and that's not even including things like your retirement,
Right.
like Social Security and
Yeah.
everything, right? So that at that point you'd never actually have to work. So the sooner you save to get to that point, the
The
better
better.
the rest of your life is going to be.
Yep.
And then the third point, sorry, I was rambling, is diversify your assets. Don't dump everything to a single thing unless it's like a target date fund, right? Or like possibly even VT,
Yeah.
like an index fund, right? Or like an S&P 500, because if things go south, things are gonna go really south.
Yep.
So you want to spread your hedge it out. For people who end up seeing this and want to do a little bit more research, you can look up into something that's like a negatively correlated market asset. So
is
like when
that?
the market goes down, then these assets go up, or these things hold very stable. So like daily consumer goods, things people actually need, right?
Okay.
And everyday purchases, not
Yeah.
like luxury spending, things like
That's
that. You'll balance it out. So at the very least, you're gonna have like 2 assets then, right? One, the economy goes up, your money goes up.
Yeah.
And 2, if the economy goes south, you're still gonna have something to go up to balance it
Okay,
out. So.
it might be too hard. It might be too hard. So
Sure.
what if I don't know anything? I just know that I love to use these products. I love to buy these products. Can that be simpler? Like, oh, I don't know about a specific industry, but I know that I like, for example, I use Facebook, Instagram every single time. So I
Yeah.
want to purchase Meta. I think that's also one of the easiest way, right?
Yeah, like-
if you don't understand the concept of finance, and like sometimes it can be intimidating. You don't really, for example, I don't know, I don't go to school for finance. I don't go to school for this, that. How about just start buying things from whatever your usual products that you actually use and enjoy.
I think that's a really good idea, and that's something I personally follow by. Cause like
Examples.
example, like I don't know, I think these have gone up a lot, so
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the right time to do it.
Like-
But personally, like I've been investing in Costco,
Yeah.
because I love Costco.
We love
We love Costco. Costco.
Sponsor us, please.
Yeah, we like, you know, we get all our household supplies and stuff from it, right? Because like
That's true.
it's easy. So like we get some of that.
Yeah.
We watch Netflix like all the time, right?
Yep.
We invest in that. So I mean, it's, if you don't know anything, right? Like invest like a little
something,
bit.
yeah,
Obviously,
that you
I'm
believe
not
in.
telling you to like dump 10 grand into something if you have no
Yep.
idea of the stock market, right?
Yep.
But invest a little if you have nowhere to if you don't know where to start, right? Like
Start
you,
with something you understand.
yeah, you think it's intimidating. There's too many stocks, too many
Yeah.
things you could buy. Start with something you like, you know, maybe a little bit, a couple $100
Yeah.
into it, right?
Yeah.
Here and there. It's still growing your money, but you know, at least you're investing in something you know you're personally putting money into,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Because like
yep.
if you go to Costco, you buy stuff, you spend like $3,000 a year on
Yeah.
it. If you invest in it, well, like, isn't it kind of like you're funding your own
Yep.
investment account?
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, so you can start with something that you believe in or you understand
Yeah.
and you are familiar with. And then the second, what is the second?
Oh,
Maybe.
read the news.
Oh no, that's the tips for like
Okay,
read the
okay, okay,
news
okay.
and then blah blah blah. But like, if you really do not know how to start, maybe research on compounding interest.
Yes.
And the benefit of it. And like, I think it's so ignorant to say like, well, I don't understand, and like keep on complaining on how you don't understand. You can start with something you are familiar with, but you want to occupy yourself with more readings, so you can, you know, what you are getting into, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's very important to know what you are getting into.
Yeah.
And then the third one, ask and watch if you don't want to read, right? Like, you can ask people who have been in the market for a long time, and you can I ask.
I would say you can ask AI, like the GPTs, right?
yeah.
They're I would not use them to pick out individual stocks,
Yeah,
but if you want them to like explain to you like your five
Yeah.
like certain valuation metrics,
Simplify.
like four PE ratios, four PE ratios, stuff like that. Understanding more of the like financial
Yeah.
valuation metrics or
Yeah.
stuff. The GPTs are amazing to
Yeah.
it. Like if you don't know where to start, ask it about concepts. Ask it about like how to teach you how to learn.
Yes.
It's gonna be like turbo
Yes,
jumpstart.
because sometimes it can be a little bit discouraging to ask people who have been in the market for a long time, and you feel like you're asking noob questions,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Yeah, but don't feel discouraged. And I think it's very important. This is the message that I want to, I want everyone to know that